Yeah, so my name is Nick Wark. I am the hydraulics engineer at the Vermont Agency of Transportation. I'm also wrapping up my 2-year term as the chair of the AASHTO Technical Committee. Just turn that up. AASHTO Technical Committee on Hydrology and Hydraulics, otherwise known as the TCHH. AASHTO is very acronym heavy, so be prepared here. So I wanted to, this week has a great agenda. There's a lot of great presentations. Joe mentioned Cornell. He's going to give a talk on scour equilibrium design, which I find fascinating. I've seen multiple iterations of it, and I can't wait to see it again. I'm sure he's added some great stuff to it. A fellow Vermonter is presenting a 2D model with tidal boundary conditions. Why a guy from landlocked Vermont is presenting a tidal 2D model, I'm not sure. You'll have to ask him. But I'm really pumped to do that, to see that. He's going to make Vermont proud, I'm sure. My presentation, probably not that exciting, but I'm going to try to keep it short. That seems to be the theme for the day. And I hope people learn a little bit about the TCHH. Maybe something that I present piques your interest. And I'm also going to put in a few plugs for things we need from you to help us develop better policy and guidance. So I'm going to start with AASHTO 101. This is the most recent org chart from AASHTO. They recently updated it. The TCHH is a technical committee that operates under the Committee on of Design, which the acronym now is COD, has like the fish. It used to be called SCOD. It changed from a subcommittee on design to just a committee on design. There are 9 other technical committees in design. They're all very specialized groups. So hydrology and hydraulics, pretty self-explanatory. We focus on H&H stuff. So the technical committee meets every odd year with the design group, and then on even years we meet here at the Hydraulic Engineering Conference. So we live under the design umbrella, but there's a lot of interactions with other parts of AASHTO. AASHTO is a big structure. I think hydrology and hydraulics crosses a lot of boundaries. One of those groups that we work with very closely is the Committee on Bridges and Structures, COBS, like corn. We are working very closely right now with T15, which is their substructure and retaining wall group. So we're talking about scour, some of the new LRFD methods for calculating scour. That's probably a ways down the road now, but it's good to collaborate early. Another group we work with a lot recently, they co-hosted a meeting with the design group last year, is SCOE, which is the environmental group. We met with their natural resources committee to talk about stuff like aquatic organism passage, water quality, and climate change. So again, that's the org chart for AASHTO. The goal isn't here to confuse you or anything, but just to show you where we live and some of the groups we work with. There's other groups here that we're not currently working with, but we probably have or will. There's a planning group, there's a construction group. Again, hydrology and hydraulics kind of crosses over all of those boundaries. Can all the TCHH members please stand up, give a wave? So hopefully there's some familiar faces. There are currently 21 members on the committee. 18 DOTs are represented. We have 1 FHWA liaison, Joe. We have 1 AASHTO liaison, and we have 1 associate member from Canada. At full capacity, we have 5 members from each region. That puts us at 20. So we have 2 current vacancies in region 3 and 4. So if you work for a state DOT, you're interested in some of the work that we do and you want to participate, you want to get more involved, please come see me, please come see any of the members, or maybe talk to your state representative to the design group. It's a pretty simple nomination process. Usually just a resume, maybe a quick cover letter or something. We also have room for some associate members, so if you work for an MPO, a municipality, international, Canadian province, we do have room for you on the committee too. Those are non-voting positions, but we'd still love to have you. Within the technical committee, we have 8 working groups. These groups are dynamic based on need. It's really how we keep track of hot topics that we should be spending time on. As of yesterday morning, we added a floodplains group. So that's probably been an issue for a long time, but many states have really slick MOUs or MOAs that expedite their floodplain permitting. Other states have like, very stringent requirements for even the smallest encroachment. So as a group, we decided we're going to try to reconcile that. We're going to try to do some information sharing, some fact finding to maybe to steal from what was said earlier, but to borrow, to do the R&D from those MOUs and bring it to the states that are having more difficult time with their floodplain permitting. So the other working groups we have are climate change, water quality, LRFD bridge specifications, the HydroLink newsletter, coastal research, floodplains, and then the NHEC. So we're on the steering committee for this conference. Meetings, we meet one time per year. We used to meet twice due to travel restrictions, other stuff. We've limited that to one meeting per year. We just wrapped up our 2018 meeting this morning. So I feel like I've already had a long week, but I'm excited for the rest of the conference. Last year we met in Des Moines, Iowa with the Committee on Design and the Committee on the Environment. That was a great conference as well. In 2019, I believe we're going to meet in Reno with the Committee on Design. So if you're interested in joining the group, want to go to Reno, just get to travel. So what does the TCHH do? What are our activities? The official scope of the committee is a focal point and working group to expedite with expertise in hydrology and hydraulics to develop AASHTO guidelines and policy for drainage design and transportation facilities. So that's a lot of words, but the three main pieces of that are maintaining and developing technical publications, which I'll get into, participating in national research, and being an advocate. So the two major publications that we are responsible for is the Highway Drainage Guidelines and the AASHTO Drainage Manual. AASHTO Drainage Manual was formerly known as the Model Drainage Manual. We are currently looking at major updates to one and or both of these. They're large. One is 2 volumes. They're 3 or 4 inches thick. They're not nimble documents. It's great to have timely information, and because these are so big, we can't be responsive and get out the cutting edge information. So we're looking at ways to maybe break it up into smaller volumes. So we're very close to having a bunch of stormwater BMPs to publish. We can't just republish the whole manual to stuff those in. So we're looking at maybe some more succinct standalone documents to allow us to do quicker updates. We just kicked this off basically this morning. So if you're familiar with either of these documents, tell us what you need. Tell us what might be missing. Then we can put that in our scope of work and we can figure out what we need to add, what we need to get in there sooner rather than later. So I'm not going to go through these. This is the highlights of some of the research topics that the TCHH is involved in. A lot of these we sponsor. NCHRP requires either Federal Highway, a state, or AASHTO to sponsor research. So a lot of the H&H stuff comes through our technical committee. So here's just a subset of them. The total, we're close to $3 million in current research right now. So I think we're doing a lot of good things in the research field. Jeff's going to be famous by the end of the week, but he's our research guru here, and he's really catapulted our research efforts, and I think we're going to be very successful in getting more research funds going forward. And then a lot of these, I'd have to look through the agenda, but I'm sure a lot of the presentations this week on research filtered through the technical committee at some point. So some of the ones you see up here now, look for them on the agenda in 2 or 4 years. Be an advocate, what does that mean? That's kind of everything else we do to try to make our lives easier and your lives easier. The last manual we published was in 2014. So since then, I think our biggest accomplishment has been the HydroLink newsletter. So we publish a newsletter twice a year, and we have a email list of a couple hundred people. It's also posted to the AASHTO website. So if you go on there now, you can get the last probably 8 to 10 HydroLink newsletters. There are a lot of success stories, a lot of research stuff. So they're a page or two each. We hope that, you take a quick skim and you say, oh, that's a problem I've had in my state. How did another state handle it? So it's information sharing on a maybe a little less or more informal. We're also looking at ways to publish practitioner handbooks. That's one way we can maybe get out more timely, current information. Many of our members participate in joint committees. So FFRMS, Joe mentioned that earlier. I think we had some people involved in that. Let's see. And then we have 4 people on the steering committee for this conference. So again, another way for outreach to the larger H&H community. So this is my last slide. There's not a lot of words here, but it's pretty loaded. The TCHH represents generally 20 states, but we want input from every AASHTO member. This is why we hold the meeting at this conference. We want to see the presentations. We want to talk with you. We want to hear what issues you're having. So there's 2 tools that we use to gather this information. The TCHH has an activity that we call Concerns of the State. So some of you might have received an email from me asking for your top 3 to 5 issues in your state. We consolidate those and look for themes, and that's how we decide where to spend our time. We were just approved for NCHRP funding to take that to the next level, so it's a more formal state of practice synthesis. So unfortunately, some of you are going to get the dreaded email in your inbox, please fill out this survey by X date. But it's really a valuable tool for us to capture those larger themes that we use to dictate what we spend our time on. And then all of our contacts information is on our website. Come find us this week. We'd love to hear what you have to say. We'd love to hear your success stories. We'd like to hear your issues. And that'll help us, again, form better policy and guidance and put it out there to help you. So thank you very much.